Well, I'm delighted to be joined by Dave Brons, super guitar shredder, musical genius, wannabe beard cultivator, and
Ah,
Tolkien enthusiast. To be honest, we've actually just been chatting for about 30 minutes already. We hadn't clicked the record button yet, and it was really, really interesting. But there we go. So we'll start. How are you? You all right?
I'm good. Yeah, after that introduction, I can't help feel that people might be disappointed by the end of this interview. Yeah. By the way, he said I thought you said I was a Tolkien enthusiast, but I think you said Tolkien, right? As in the
Tolkien.
author Tolkien. Yes.
Yes, that's right. In
Yeah.
fact, let's just go there. Forget all this music nonsense. What is it about Tolkien that hits you so hard? Why do you love it so much?
Tolkien, for me, when I came up with the idea to use it for the inspiration of my music, it's not exactly an original idea. Loads of people have done it. But for me, Tolkien offers escapism. It's like chicken soup when you're poorly. But also, there's just kind of like there's so much wisdom in Tolkien's writing. There's so much joy of the landscapes, friendship. Um, I just really, genuinely, in the nerdiest possible way, absolutely love it. So I read the books, I listen to the podcasts, the Prancing Pony podcast. I listen to that. That's my fave. Watch the films regularly, and I just find it a constant inspiration, not just for my music, but also just for life. How to treat people better, how to deal with adversity. In um, I suppose actually, if I was to summarize it, it'd be the thing that I love most is Tolkien's characters persevere in the face of impossible odds, and they don't really ever have to choose between good and evil, doing what's right and wrong. All they have to choose is between bad and worse, and they never have enough information to make a really clear decision. And I just think a lot of life is like that. Sometimes you just don't know. And for me as a musician, when I decided to quit my job to go into music full time, I didn't know if it was going to work or even if it was a good idea or how to do it. I just took the leap, and I think that really speaks to me and is great consolation when I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, which is a lot of the time. There you go.
Amazing, cracking. I mean, I love Lord of the Rings as well. I'm not quite as big a nerd on it as you are, but I there's so much hope in there.
Mm.
There's so much adversity, like you said, but there's always that ray of hope. And interestingly, I've been listening on uh, to Andy Serkis read it
Yeah.
recently, which is it's about 500 hours worth. It's something ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm just constantly just thinking, oh, I need to remember that line. That is just amazing. I want to almost meditate on that. There's just so much in there that is so deep. But yeah, wonderful. So, I mean, how does that actually affect your music? How do you apply all of that?
Yeah, my music is rooted in I want it to transport people. So my motto is "May the music transport you." And for me, when I got into do music, the reason I stopped doing my proper job is because I pretty much had a mental breakdown. I was trapped doing a job I didn't want to do. I wanted to do music. I'd wanted my whole life, and just it felt like an impossible dream. Um, and Tolkien was a place of refuge for me, and I wanted that my music to be that for other people, a place where they could escape their troubles and just escape into Middle Earth. So the way it connects with me is Tolkien's love of nature. I love being outdoors. If I wasn't a musician, I'd probably be a bushcraft instructor or something like that. Um, these themes of hope, but also these amazing stories that I can imagine what the scene is in my mind's eye. And this is the way I write music. I do think of the music visually, and then I will compose music to match the scene in my mind's eye, if you like. And Tolkien's such a great resource. He's does such amazing descriptions, and he is probably the original and the best world builder. So it's just a constant source of inspiration, really. It's like the never drying well, really, for a musician. Yeah.
I mean, your music is really, in places, complex. Um, I mean, to be fair, you've just played me something there that was really simple. So it's not all the time. There, you just had a low whistle and a high whistle, and it was just beautifully simple. But a lot of the time, you've got themes weaving and in and out. You've got lots of instruments. You've got choirs and brass and the full band, and it's so many, so many different flavors all going on at once. How do you kind of imagine that? Do you kind of vaguely know where you're going with it as you record it, or is it evolutionary? You do a bit and then you think, oh, and then I can put this on it, and then I can do this.
I love this question because, in a way, there's no real answer. It's like people ask me, "What's the secret?" To how it works, and I don't really know. Some of it's a mystery. I I would say that I can hear the quite often I can hear the fully formed composition in my head. I can hear what the brass are going to be doing. I can hear what the woodwind are going to be doing, the drums and stuff like that. But other times it's a voyage of discovery, a bit like a writer. You start writing and you don't really know what the characters are going to do. And it's the same for me. I start composing, I'll have an idea of the scene I want to write about, and it just sort of, it's like chipping away. And sometimes that is really easy, and sometimes it's really hard because you keep trying things that don't work. I think my real privilege is that I don't write all the music. One of the things that people probably don't realize is though, even though all my music has my name on it, Dave Brons, it's actually a collaboration between myself, primarily between myself, the drummer John Biglands, and the bass player Daniel Day. And we're all multi instrumentalists, so quite often we just bring ideas because we all really love Lord of the Rings. And my task and my skill set is actually more taking everyone's ideas and driving the project forward to create a coherent piece of music. So a lot of the complexity comes and the simplicity comes from the strengths that those individuals bring to the project. Some of my favorite songs are things that I don't play on at all. Um, because like it's just such a joy. Like there'll be a piano piece and I'm just like, what? I don't really feel the need to shred guitar over it to prove that I can play guitar. It's because there's that friendship and the love of storytelling, and that's really what the music is at its heart is about. It's about telling stories, and if that requires a huge orchestra and an odd time signature and a big guitar solo, we do that. If it just requires piano and some Irish whistle and a little bit of voice, we do that. It's like, yeah.
Fabulous. It's, I think it's unusual for a guitar player of your caliber to do actually work like this. Most guitarists who can um, play like you can uh, approach everything from a guitar point of view and write guitar albums. And it's I've got this riff now. I'm going to solo over the top of it. It's all about the guitar, and everything else kind of supports that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. But I don't get that feeling when I listen to your albums. I get the feeling that the guitar is just another instrument on there, and it's more about the whole and about yeah where it's taking you and what you're imagining in your head. And there's not actually all that much guitar on there compared to a lot of albums.
Yeah, I've now. I was just so lost in the lovely, nice things you're saying about me. I've now forgotten what the question was.
Yeah, what was the question? To be honest, I was just
Yeah, you just passing comment. Okay,
yeah.
well, thank you, sir.
I mean, how do you kind of balance being a obviously you can play technically, you can play quick, you can play tapping with both your hands and all sorts of. You could probably play with your nose if you tried. So yeah, but I mean, I remember when there was such things as guitar shops. I'd used to go into guitar shops, and there'd be like a 12-year-old there rattling away some Steve Vai, and I'd just be sat there going, "Why am I bothering?" And then you listen to it, and you just think, "Well, he's got all the notes, but there's no emotion there at all." How do you balance the kind of emotion and the technicality in your work?
Yeah, it's interesting you should mention Steve Vai. Steve Vai was my first guitar hero. His Passion and Warfare album came out in either 1990 or 1991,
Legendary.
and that was the album that made me sit up and listen and think, man, I want to be able to play music like that. And Steve Vai was at the time pretty much the pinnacle of guitar shredding. But the thing that always impressed me about Vai and Satriani and those guys is they could both write an amazing melody. And the way I write music is always singing. I sing all the melodies before I record them. Believe it or not, most of my solos I sing the guitar, even if it's like do 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 do, like I do like the runs and everything. And I record those and then double on the guitar. So I guess there are musicians who don't have the limitation of there being a gap between what they think and what they can play, and it's really instant. For me, I'd say, although I can improvise, that's not my strength, and my strength is kind of this melodic thing where I can sing things, and so if I sing, that feels really instant to me. Playing the guitar feels not as instant. And I think the good thing about that is because if you sing something, you have to take a breath now and again, um, and things like that. It helps you put the gaps in the right places. It helps you have melodies that are in a range that are memorable. So I think it's kind of like a happy accident that because of my limitations as a musician, the melody and all that stuff comes first. And for me, playing really flash, I think that when the instrument was young and Van Halen came out and Yngwie Malmsteen and all those guys, I absolutely adore those guys. It was so exciting to hear lots of notes because nobody really knew how to do it. I think now technique, because it's been like 30 or 40 years now of people studying how to play fast, it's not a big deal anymore. So I'm definitely love playing fast and lots of notes to build excitement, but it's got to tell the story. I don't have a lot of interest in playing like a million notes in a composition because it just sounds like typewriter music. Like,
Love it.
so yeah, so I guess in short, I don't really think about it that much, to be honest. I don't feel a pressure to play lots of notes or to not play a lot of notes. I don't. I just want to tell the story. So it's not a thing that I really struggle with, if you know what I mean.
So, which of your solos do you think has the most emotion in it that you've written? You've listened to it, you think, oh, I can just hear my guts being pulled out through that one.
Oh, that's like being asked to pick my favourite child. Um,
Which is your favorite child, Dave?
well, I do have one, but it'd be wrong to say it publicly.
Oh,
I was just
okay.
joking. My favourite guitar solo emotionally. Wow, that's a tough question. I haven't. Some of my favourite solos are the ones that I played on the demo, um, and then I went back to play properly, and was never able to recapture
Mm.
the emotion of the original, and and because I'm a perfectionist at heart, I kind of always want to put out something that has no mistakes in it. But I think some of my favourite solos are ones that stayed on the demo. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any of those now. On the new album that's coming out, The Fellowship, there's about 3 solos that have been left that were like the first, maybe second take, and 100% got all the mistakes in them, and also 100% exactly what I played. I didn't go back and fix them. That's not something I would have had the confidence to do on my first album, but I think, and this will be interesting to get into, I think with the rise of AI and perfectionism,
Mhm.
and people just putting 4 words into an AI machine thing and outputting music that is indistinguishable from real music, I think I've really started to value imperfection as something to be embraced, because it's some of the flaws that make
Absolutely.
our music connect with people. So connection, not perfection, has become my mantra.
I
And
love that.
yeah, sorry, I should have had some solos prepared, but I just
No,
to tell you
no.
which ones. But you know,
I mean, I've actually done something very similar on Cairn. I've got some pretty rough vocals on there in places, and haven't gone back and re-recorded them and thought, my voice cracks or it's not quite in tune in places or whatever. But I haven't gone back and done it because just for the very similar things to you. What you're saying there is that everyone's got perfection now, but actually real musicians make mistakes. Real musicians aren't perfect, and it's if you go to a gig, it's those bits that you remember almost. It's the bits that are different from the recording. It's
yeah,
got the emotion behind it. I mean,
I think some of the confidence around perfectionism comes from um, myself, John, and Dan, and the other guys, and Sally, who the singer. We're all we've grown so much as musicians just by making albums, and the trust and confidence is and our musicianship has increased. So, um, so for example, the quality of the rhythm section, like it's super tight on my music. Do you know what I mean? Like those guys are really amazing, and so I feel more confident that we're not just being bad craftsmen by dropping the odd mistake here and there. It's like the quality is super high, but now there's like this thing where I don't know, we're at peace with who we are. We're not trying to be the best guitarists or whatever in the world. We're just trying to tell a story, and I think some of the wisdom comes from knowing which mistakes are adding to the humanity of the music and which ones are just ruin it for the listener.
yeah,
And I think, you know, some music I hear, I just think if they just spent a bit more time tidying it up, this would
yeah.
be really quite pleasant. But so hopefully we are navigating that line with a bit of wisdom and yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, going back to nature, which is one of your big inspirations. Nature's not perfect. It's never perfect. It's cracked and warped and twisted and not symmetrical, and it's all the more beautiful for it, I think. And yeah, there was no
Yeah.
question there either. I'm just rambling again, really. But
Yeah. So much of life is driven towards being productive. So, and this is what I take from my connection to nature. It's like we've got to, especially now that my income is music, it's like I've got to be productive all the time to justify my existence. There's something about going out in nature that where with no agenda, where you just go for a walk and you feel connected, and we're not being productive, we're just being. Now this sounds all a bit zen and a bit woo woo, but there's something about that is really important for me as a super driven person. One of my superpowers is not that I'm a good guitarist or anything like that or a good musician. It's actually that I finish what I start, and I am really, really good at that. The downside is I also don't know when to rest. And just the other day I went for a walk with the drummer, John Biglands, and we just went for a walk, chatted, had a cup of coffee, just sat, and we achieved nothing, and it felt amazing. And I think that the way nature just is something that I take a lot of lessons from, that we need to be better at knowing when to push hard and when that is killing us. And hopefully that also comes across in my music, that there's periods of frenetic epic movement in the music, but also there's periods of just quiet and rest and contemplation, and I think music that's all relentless, I don't think you've got to have the ups and you've got to have the lows, you've got to have the loudness, the quiet, you've got to have the fast and the slow. I think, and your music is like this as well. Like you've got to have the contrasts. I think for to take the listener on a journey, you've got to have the light and you've got to have the dark. And that's one thing I love about your music, is that you also have all those shades of light and dark in it, and the storytelling's there, and the guitar playing, and the journey of the album. So yeah.
Well, I think we grew up listening to very similar music, and I think, I mean, you can't listen to Iona and then just have an album of bam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
You just wouldn't be able to do it, would you? It's
Yeah, Iona, a huge influence for me. There's an album that came out called The Book of Kells, and it is about, I'd say it's over half of it is instrumental, and it's Celtic. Um, Man, that it's an album that just never gets old.
it's
Um,
magic, isn't it?
it's just really magic. It just really transport you, and that was also one of my early influences. Is I wanted to create music that for people that did for me what the Book of Kells did by Iona, also Passion and Warfare by Steve Vai. Just music that, even if it didn't have lyrics, could connect, and that's why my music is about 50-50 instrumental, 50% lyrics. It helps having a singer as good as Sally, of course. I think the balance keeps tipping more towards having singing and songs and lyrics, just because Sally is just such an amazing singer and person. So um, definitely people who hear Sally singing want to hear more of it. So we're keen to give her as many opportunities as possible to put her mark on the music as well, and her contribution. So yeah.
Um, your current album at the moment is first in a trilogy, I believe.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah.
And do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah. So what happened? My journey was I quit my job. I put together my first album, which is all the compositions I've been writing since I was about 15 when I started playing guitar. And then we had the second difficult album. It was like, now I've used up all my ideas that I've been accumulating my whole life. I'm gonna have to write from scratch. The Lord of the Rings idea came to me because I'd gotten away. I was in my hammock out overlooking Thirlmere Lake. It was raining, the water's running off my top, and I'd taken Lord of the Rings to read. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool to do an album about Lord of the Rings? And it came out during lockdown. So that album it's like people were just like, want to be transported to Middle Earth, and we're in lockdown. Yes, please. So that album really is the one that catapulted
Yeah.
my career, not to make mega bucks, but made me realize, actually, I think I could do this as a job. This might just be working. After that, we did another one called, which we wrote during lockdown, called Return to Order. But really, I felt that I wanted the Not All Those Who Wander Lost was just like a real big overview, and I wanted to really tell some of the stories in more detail. So the trilogy is, we're doing the three volumes of Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the King. And so it's probably going to be the next, I want to say 5 years of my life, but realistically it might take a bit longer. And so, yeah, the album that's coming out hopefully at Christmas is called The Fellowship, and it's literally the stories from when Frodo gets the ring to the breaking of Fellowship. Spoilers, guys, when Boromir tries to nick it off him via the Mirror of Galadriel and Rivendell and Weathertop. So, yeah.
Oh, I'm excited. I mean, honestly, even when you just mention those things, they're taking me back to the book. They're taking me, and they're like almost like real events in your life, aren't they? That you're remembering at this stage. So, because you got this structure that you're writing to, um, and Tolkien does this. You're saying that Tolkien paints the landscape for you. You can kind of hear the music in this landscape, and you put it together. And how much room is there for you to get your personal emotional into that, kind of emotions into that music if it's got this structure?
Oh, man. I mean, how do you not? Um, Dude, there's a song that we've written for called "For the Knife in the Dark" chapter, and for those who don't know the story, basically the evil kind of ring wraiths catch up with Frodo, and he gets stabbed by an evil blade, and Aragorn turns up. Aragorn's like the knight-like character, and he wards off the bad guys. But then Frodo carries this wound for the rest of all the 3 books. And so the song is about, you know, sometimes you just don't think you can carry on, but it's just all you can do is take one more step towards your goal, which is that message of perseverance, man. It's
Love it.
like, just even thinking about that, I feel emotional. The music is just so emotional. And then there's another tune we wrote for the Mirror of Galadriel, which John plays on piano. I don't even play on it, and every time I hear Sally singing it, I do tear up. So the emotional connection is really strong. And one thing that's interesting is, because I don't 100% write all the music, I still hear a lot of the stuff on my records, like, as a listener. And a lot of the pieces that really move me are the ones that have been written by my bandmates. In terms of the structure is actually really helpful, because every album I've ever written has a story arc from beginning to end, and I decide what the story is, and then we have some compositions like, oh, that's going to really work for Rivendell, that's really going to work for Mordor or whatever, and then we get together and say, right, we need to write the compositions that fill the gaps, and we think about the emotional pacing between those tunes. Is this a light one? Is it a dark one? Is it kind of aggressive and pounding? Is it floating? And we think about it in terms of movement in dance as well. We think like the shape of it. It's all kind of quite arty-farty. But the structure is definitely... The struggle is knowing what to leave out, because we want to write a story for all our favourite bits, and that album would be about 200 years long. So yeah, no, in fact, one thing that I feel is really lacking in a lot of musicians' albums, that especially guitarists who self-publish, who don't have a record deal, is we don't have producers, right? We just decide what is in and what is out. And the storytelling is lost, and you just have like, here's my country song, here's my jazz metal shred song, here's my thing. Rather than thinking about what's the journey for the listener, what's the emotional connection. And I think one thing that I feel really blessed is the amount of people get in touch and say things like, this music helped me get through today, this song I played at my dad's funeral, this song is the song that I put on when I just need to smash through a day, you know? So it's like, it's not just the music and the Lord of the Rings thing, it has an impact beyond what we as musicians have put in. It's always surprising. It's like you create a composition that maybe took you a day to come up with, and people say, this isn't just the best composition on your album, this isn't just the best composition I've heard this year, this is the best piece of music I've heard in my life, of all the music I've listened to. And that includes all my heroes, Steve Vai, Dream Theater, Joe Satriani, Iona, all those giants. But they've picked a piece of music that is very humbling. I don't fully understand how that happens, but that's the magic and the privilege of doing what we do. And also, when times are really tight and hard financially, I just think that's the motivator that keeps you going, because of course I'm doing this for me, right? I'm narcissistic enough to think that somebody wants to hear the music I've made, but also I am always astonished by how much the music means to people. God, I'm getting quite emotional. Should I cry on camera? I'll try not to. And you will have found this, I'm sure you have so many stories of, and I know you do, of the way your music is connected to people, and we've got to keep making beautiful things. If you're listening to this podcast and you're an artist or a writer or a musician or a videographer or a photographer, and you think, oh, there's no point, there's every point, because with the rise of AI and machines, it's down to us to keep that connection, and you just never know. You might write a line of poetry and somebody's thinking the really dark thoughts, and you might save someone's life. So
Yep. That's it.
I'm
That's
gonna have to
absolutely
pause there because I can feel it. I can feel the emotion coming through now. But it's important stuff, isn't it, mate?
it really is. And I think the AI stuff oh, is a huge challenge in some respects, but
mm,
it also gives us huge opportunities
yeah,
um, to be human, to be broken, to be damaged, even, and to be joyful. And
yeah,
I-
and
it's about that connection, isn't it? If the thing is, AI can sound amazing, but it doesn't have that soul connection. I don't think that that the music you listen to sometimes has. There's that
it
I
can't it can't write a song where you've had a friend who's taken their life and you're broken about it and you want to write a song from that experience to say, how that impact and to send a message. It can't, because it can't experience pain. So it could copy someone else's idea, but somebody who's hears a song like that's really written from a personal experience, you know, and they connect with us, that connection is long lasting. The AI thing, that no suffering and no effort went into it, and no learning and no anything. Right, back to Tolkien. Why is Tolkien's writing so impactful? And why will it never be replicated again in the world of realm and fantasy? It's because he went through the First World War. He lost um, his closest friends, and so when he writes about fellowship and sacrifice, we can't go back to the First World War. We can't experience that. And and I think it's a reminder that in our art, all things can work together for good, the ups and the downs. And it's that depth of experience that, even for us, we could cheat and use AI. We could cheat in our videos, we could do all sorts of things. But when people find out, oh, that's not an amazing thing, it was done by AI. He just said 3 words into a prompt. It's not the same as seeing me on top of a mountain with a guitar in a snowstorm
yeah,
and thinking,
he
he
actually went.
actually climbed a mountain with his guitar just for a video shot, for a music thing. That means something more than. Of course, I could have faked it somehow with AI, but I wouldn't have gone through it, and the listener wouldn't have gone through it with me. So I think,
Totally.
it is an opportunity. Yeah.
And I think um, I personally feel as well, just talking about opportunity there, I think there will be, like there is a resurgence of people buying CDs and vinyl rather than streaming. I think
Mm.
that there will also be a resurgence of people looking for real soul connection music that isn't AI. I think AI is going to flood the charts. It's going to flood film. It's going to flood TV. It's going to flood the radio. But I think there's going to be a core of people that are still looking for that connection and go back to the proper stuff. So I'm, in a way, I'm quite hopeful about it because I think it gives us something to kind of rally around because it's so important. It's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my worry is more for, not for us. I mean, it's more for future generations, really, and what landscape they will have, and opportunities. Um, but yeah, here we are. But you're right about the resurgence of CDs and vinyl. Like, I never thought I'd see vinyl come back. It's both fragile, large, inconvenient, and expensive. And you know,
As a
some say it
musician,
sounds
it's
better
more
than
important.
CD, but yeah, people love it, don't they? Yeah,
So, do you do most of your recording in that room?
I do. Yeah.
Oh,
So the bulk of we record the drums and bass in a proper studio, Just a lovely day out. Go to a really nice studio in Castleford called Chairworks. And then after that, the bulk of everything else is recorded here in my little room. I would show you, but yeah, I mean, it's got this focus thing. Anyway, this is the cellar of my Victorian terrace house. And then for some of the choir stuff, I went to like an old grammar school type schoolroom with the wooden floors,
Oh,
and we
no.
set the choir up in there and recorded that. So yeah, I mean, it's amazing what you can do with the modern technology now in that respect, digital recording. If you know how to capture the sound right, then yeah, you can get amazing results. So
And
yeah,
yeah,
do it at
amazing.
home.
It works. You get an absolutely epic sound out of it, which is fantastic. So, I mean, I know that you do a pre-mix of your albums, and then of course they go to Dave Bainbridge for mixing and Nigel Palmer for mastering. I
Yeah,
mean,
I know. Yeah,
wow,
legends,
these are
legends.
just masters of their craft, and I mean
Yeah.
that's so exciting to have them on your projects. I imagine.
Yeah, the reason I do mix music for other people, but the reason I don't mix my own stuff is because by the time I've finished recording it, I've recorded the album actually almost 3 times, and I probably don't feel like best place to make unbiased decisions. So
Sure.
why do I record it 3 times? Well, we record the
That sounds
demos.
bad, though.
Yeah, we record the demos first. That's where we roughly get our ideas down, like little like pencil sketches. Then I tighten up all the rhythm parts and record as much stuff as I can so that when we go into the studio to record the drums and bass, they have the best experience and they can hear as much as possible so that they really can put their all into the music as close to as it meant to be. And then when they've recorded their drums and bass, I go back and re-record everything in time to their performance because their performance is ground zero, and all the timing and the feel and the movement comes from the interplay between the bass and the drums. So I redo all the rhythm guitars. Consequently, if it's quite different, I'll redo all the solos. Yeah. So it is kind of crazy, but I think you kind of that level of production is what you need to do for the kind of music I put out, which is like this Celtic progressive rock with all the orchestral stuff. One of the joys of doing it that way, of course, is when you create the samples by playing them in on the keyboard, say of the brass, and then the real brass players come in and play for real. And even like when you've played violins to replace my MIDI keyboardy violins, that is a real joy where they put the humanity and the performance in and the expertise like of playing brass instruments properly as opposed to the way I do it, and all the breath that is the reward, is doing it so thoroughly means the end product is ace. The downside is my brain hurts by the time I've finished. So
Oh, no kidding.
happy to hand it over to Dave Bainbridge, who's kind of he is, along with Steve Vai, he's probably my biggest influence and inspiration. So to have him mix it is incredible. And Nigel Palmer mixed and did the mastering on the Book of Kells albums for Iona. So I feel like I'm put together my dream team really
Amazing.
to get the music exactly how I want it. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, let's get geeky.
I thought we were pretty deep in the geekery already, but yeah, go
All
on.
right, let's move our geekery from Tolkien and recording to guitars.
Okay.
Okay, you're a guitarist. This probably means you've got about 42 guitars. Is that right?
I've got a few, yeah.
I can see about six from here. Now, what are your favorites? What do you, if you're just going to sit down and just knock something out, what are you going to pick up?
Well, I mean, I tend to sing and compose on the piano first, so I wouldn't be picking any guitar up. But
Oh,
if
amazing.
my main guitar is this one. It's a custom made
Lovely.
guitar by Jaden Rose, and I really like it because If I can get the light to shine, you can see it's actually textured. You can see the
Mm.
and feel the grain. So this is actually really rough. You can that
Yeah, I can see it.
fingers, and also this guitar is kind of the culmination of all the guitars I've owned and tinkered with. I've made my own guitars. I make my own amps as well. Um, so this is my main one. Yeah.
Beautiful.
There's a few quirky things I probably can't show you on the camera, but let's see if I can show you. It'd help if I had my glasses on because I can't see that. Anyway, there's like a few cracks and blemishes in the fretboard that I asked for because this is custom made for me. And they said, "Why are you having infections in the fretboard?" And I was like, because that reminds me of the stuff we've been talking about. Kintsukuroi, you know, the Japanese art of if you break a pot, you repair it with gold and then you get the veins of gold.
Marvelous.
And that every time I look down at my fretboard, it reminds me to not pursue perfection but to pursue connection. So there you go, little nerdy thing. So that's my number one guitar. If I get in, this one is another one I've had made for me. This is a really, I don't know if it is, but I think it might be the only guitar in the world that is semi-fretless. So you've got a black ebony fretboard, and then you've got these weird fan frets that are all bendy. And
Absolutely
then
bonkers.
it's a headless guitar, so you tune it from this end. This is a signature guitar made for me by Doro Guitars, which
Wow.
is really cool, and I've used a lot on the new albums to get some fretless sounds. Wow. And I have a few other things, like I have a Stratocaster and a Telecaster, the usual ones for playing all the clean tones. So yeah, I have a decent a bass guitar. I've got a Squier 5-string bass, which has been playing all the records. So not an expensive bass, but a very cheap bass, which I really love. So yeah.
Okay, so being an independent musician is, as you know, pretty tough. It's not the easiest job in the world. I mean, financially, it's up and down all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's just really hard work because you don't end up being a musician. You end up being a marketer. You end up being an accountant. You end up being a website designer. You end up being a graphic artist, a videographer. You make all the coffees. You know everything. You
Yeah.
know, and sometimes you even get to do some music. So, is there? Why on earth would you do it? Can you? If there's people out there thinking, I love music, but I could never do it as a job. What would you say to them?
I do get asked that a lot, actually. The truth is, there's two answers to that question. Being an independent musician isn't for everybody. I have many friends who are amazing musicians who have tried and failed, and it's because your expertise have to be so wide ranging. Like you say, you've got to be able to film videos, you've got to be able to be a pretty good communicator, to be fair, you've got to be a marketer, you've got to understand the connection with people to build a true fan base and not see the people that buy your music as just, punters, but to see them as partners. I think it's a skill set that you've also got to be really comfortable with risk and not find that too stressful. So I know both you and I are very optimists as our nature. I think having relentless optimism is essential because the setbacks are all the time. Problem solving has to happen all the time. So it's not for everyone. On the flip side, everything that we achieve and we've earned. So if something goes well, quite often it'll be down to either luck or some good decision. But honestly, quite often it's down to really a lot of hard work.
Yeah,
And
for
you
sure.
own it. If something goes badly, we own that too. And the thing I really love is a constant learning. I've learned how to record music. I've learned how to edit videos. I've learned how to fly a drone. I've learned how to complete a project from start to finish. I've learned how to manage musicians and encourage them and lead them when things aren't going well. I really do love the challenges of all that stuff. Do I have dark days or dark nights of the soul? Of course, but the great blessing is when I started out, I was felt very much alone, like no one else was doing it. But now I've got you. Like my first port of call is usually to ring you. Oh no, tariffs. Post the
Oh,
website
nightmare.
stopped working. What shall I do? Ring Matt. He'll have some thoughts. Um, and we are seeing. I think because we have pioneered a lot of this stuff, the community is growing, and there's more of us, and our fans are amazing, and
They really are.
yeah, we're lucky, aren't we? I mean, come on, we're really blessed. But yeah, it's a lot.
Fantastic. Yeah, it is. It is. So, quick fire questions just to finish off. What's the
Alrighty.
album you listened to all the way through?
What's the last album I listened to all the way through? Well, yours. Um, but we listened to it together. Does that count?
No, no. We did
No.
stop and start, didn't we?
Um, do you know what? I sat down and purposely, I was like, I'm going to sit down and listen to some music recently, which is lovely. It was vinyl. I think it might have been The Planets by Holst on vinyl.
Wonderful.
That's not a very trendy answer, is it?
Oh,
Uh,
I used to listen to that when I was a kid all the time. Yeah,
yeah.
that and some Marla, they were my constant go-tos on the turntable.
Yeah, Shostakovich for me, the Shostakovich Fifth, I revisit a lot. Yeah, okay, so that was a very quick answer. There you
Yeah.
go.
Most underrated guitarist.
Um, don't know, me. um, I don't know. There's so many that deserve so much recognition. Dave Bainbridge would be one, although he's getting more recognised in Prog Magazine and things. Um, yeah, that's
One
a
riff,
tough one.
yeah, one riff or melody that you wish you'd written.
I wish I had written possibly something like "Sweet Child of Mine" because it's so simple, but it's like instantly recognisable. My favourite guitar solo is probably actually the guitar solo on "Fields of Gold" by Sting, where where the guitar player Dominic Miller just plays the melody. But I just think it's so beautiful. Um, Now I could play that guitar solo without thinking about it in terms of the notes, but the way he plays it is so beautiful. So that'd be that one. Yeah.
If you had infinite budget for your next album, where would you like to do some filming?
Iceland.
Iceland.
I would love to go to Iceland and do film some stuff on the volcanic black dust and all that. Yeah, or Switzerland would be amazing as well. But Switzerland, it would have to be an infinite budget because having been there, it is
Really?
expensive. Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. Amazing. Well, Dave, it's an absolute pleasure talking to you. It's an absolute pleasure knowing you, and I
Likewise.
personally find you an inspiration, musically and as a person. And thank you very
All
much.
right, man. All the best with what you do. Just keep doing what you do, man. You're a great encouragement,
Oh,
both
you
through
too. You too.
both through your music and who you are. So you're a good egg, lad.
Good egg. Excellent.
Keep rocking.
So this is me and Dave signing off. Thanks for
See
watching.
you later. Bye.